In this part of our lesson on alchemy, I'm going to talk to you about how we can alchemize the dual nature of self. In the previous videos, I discussed spagyrics and I discussed the four elements of nature. And I also discussed sulfur, mercury, and earth. We're going to put that together and we're going to learn how we can alchemize the dual nature of self. So let us begin. To begin, I want to start by saying that humanity everything actually, not just humanity, just like the cosmos, just like life, everything is dual nature, even humans. Even angels and the creator of the universe itself is dual nature. You see, by default, we have our central pole and we have our lower self, our north and our south pole. And our south pole, well, speaking from the point of view of humans, what I want to point out is that naturally, since we reside in the lower third dimension of Earth, we are clouded by a dark shadow. Negative energy is directed at the world all the time. Whether you turn on the news, you just walk outside, depending on where you live, you'll see that the world is clouded in darkness. It may not be literally, but spiritually. By default, we are a destructive nature because when we incarnate and we're born into this world, we are taught to be destructive. We are born in our shadow. And one of the things about being in this life school is that it is up to us as individuals to choose to not operate in our shadow. It's up to us to choose to operate in the light. But some of us get consumed by the darkness. It consumes us, and we don't wake up to the reality around us. And so most of us go through life operating in our shadow, and we become the shadow. So, when it comes to alchemy and alchemizing our dual nature, what we want to do is, spiritually speaking, we want to have the courage to delve deep and reflect on ourselves and delve deep into our lower selves. And that can be through meditation, that can be through self-reflection, and trying to find out what is causing the chaos in our life. In the Emerald Tablets, Thoth says, find the disorder in your life. Find what brings you chaos, what's bringing chaos in your life, and balance that. Is it your diet? Is it the fact that, you're hanging around the wrong people? You're feeding your mind you're feeding your mind negativity, the wrong things? Do you have negative thoughts, meaning you don't believe in yourself? Do you doubt yourself? Do you think you're not worthy? You don't deserve better? These are the things during self-reflection that you want to find the answer to. You want to find the root of that cause, because this darkness can really take root within you and grab a hold of you. And you don't want that. So when you find the root of that darkness, you'll end up finding the light. And when you find that light, you you have the option to say, an opportunity actually to say that I am not going to operate in this darkness anymore. And just by saying that and wanting better for yourself is enough to raise your vibration higher above the chaos, choosing to be your best self. And from there, you can ask yourself, well, who do I want to be? This is when you want to begin to explore yourself more. This is when you feed yourself positivity and you change your environment. You begin to move around the chaos, avoid the chaos, going in opposite directions of the chaos. And eventually, you end up rising above the chaos and you gain a new angle of perspective from enlightenment, education, and just being more positive. You're operating at a higher level. And now you're operating in the spirit, alchemical symbol for air. As you're doing this, you're gaining a new perspective on life. And now you have a choice, an opportunity to ask yourself again, after finding spirituality through alchemizing your emotions and the chaos in your life, you have an opportunity to rediscover who you are again. And you realize that I am better than my shadow. I am one with my shadow. I am not ashamed of my shadow. I am choosing to rise above the chaos. And I'm choosing to expand my consciousness. And when you do that, you gain an even higher perspective. Through alchemy, you're now living at a higher perspective in the spirit, and you're gaining new angles of perspective, learning from the world around you. And as you do that, you realize through alchemy that I am all of the above and I am all of below, the below. Because you're realizing your connection to nature in the cosmos around you. Your consciousness is expanding so much from alchemy that you are literally becoming one with the world around you, reconnecting with nature. Your consciousness is now connected to the planet Earth herself. And you're continuing to rise. And of course, as you do this, your conscious is continuing to expand, just like the consciousness of the universe. And you're gaining new perspectives on your shadow and how you became that way. And you realize that it was a part of your evolution. And that's why you don't want to be ashamed of your shadow. This is what it means to live in the Christ consciousness, to be one with the light and the shadow, one with the spiritual and the material. choosing to operate in balance, harmony. This is a simple way to help you understand dual nature of humanity, self-reflection, not pointing fingers at others, saying, asking yourself, how can I be better? And we can also use keys of the planets to help us understand our connection to the universe. For instance, if we know that our higher self, our source light, comes from the sun, comes from the sun, and we know that we exist in multiple times and dimensions all at once. And when we go to sleep at night, our consciousness goes back up to our source and we go and visit our other selves in our other parallel lives that we call dreams. And we learn from those dreams and we come back to our central, to where we're pretty much stationed at in this time. And we're learning not just from this material world, but from our spiritual lives as well. And using the keys of our solar system, we can gain new perspectives and continue to evolve. So let's use the keys of our solar system. We know that Mercury is the first planet away from the sun. Venus is the second planet away from the sun. We know that Earth is the third planet. Mars is the fourth planet. Jupiter is the fifth planet. Saturn is the sixth planet. And Your Highness is the seventh planet, Uranus. And Neptune is the eighth planet. The reason why we align the planets like this is because our solar system was knocked out of orbit. Our DNA was changed. The DNA was changed, the matrix code was changed, a whole lot of things was changed over time. And there was a time where the sun was considered the ninth planet, before Pluto was considered that. And so, using this knowledge, we understand that through alchemy, our DNA code, our genetic code, comes from the cosmos. And that's why you see the medical symbol of the serpents wrapped around the pole like this. But those are not supposed to be just serpents. When you activate your chakras and activate your light within you, you've activated your dragon, your kundalini. This knowledge is knowledge that came from Egypt. Even the Hindus learned their knowledge of the chakra system from Egypt. And through the process of amalgamation. It's hard for me to say that word, amalgamation. It is our, I would say, if we were to consider, if we were to consider this the God's head, right? Our higher self. Let's put it like this. Let's see if we could do it here. What we have is a universal seed of life. When we choose to incarnate, all of our gifts, our DNA, comes from the cosmos. This is why we use that key. So with Mercury, Venus, Mars, Earth, these planets rotate around the sun as the sun travels up and down this pole in an infinite loop. And this is our DNA code that comes from the cosmos. This is what it means when they say that God created man in his image. Because remember, we are of the earth. We are of the water. And we are also of the fire and the invisible flame, the air. We are made up of all, not just the cosmos, but of the earth. And that understanding, the scarab, again. So let's erase that. Now we have the scarab again. And remember that you'll see some Egyptian depictions of the scarab like this. Through amalgamation, we are combined as one. Made of the sulfur, the mercury, and the earth. Using all of these elements, the stars, the earth elements, creating the sulfur, mercury, and the body. And the mercury being connected to the sulfur up here too, the cosmic mind, following the rules of nature. This is how you can use art to depict this. The Jesus fish. The Jesus fish. Now, the nose here on the Sphinx is messed up naturally. And what we can do here is connect that like that. See, we're making a different type of being. And what you'll find is that no matter how you look at it, you will continue to see the face of the Creator in all things. And that's why you see some Native American tribes, they'll have the big feathers on their heads, the big lion head, wearing masks. And some African tribes are wearing masks. These are how indigenous cultures represented and symbolize their connection to the Creator, to the universe. You have the lion's head, representing the sun. The scarab, extra wings, representing the flames of the sun. That's what the feathers would represent. So when you have cultures that worship or deify spirit animals or deify the different elements of nature into gods or orishas, angels, What they're doing is representing the energies in a way that they understand. It doesn't stop because everything that exists is of God. Everything that lives is of God. That's why the keys of these symbols are keys. The Eye of Horus, the Eye of Ra, the pyramids, the Sphinx. We expand our consciousness when we understand the source of truth that every culture carries. We understand where it comes from. We are a microcosm of the macrocosm. Everything that exists above exists below. Using these keys, you can continue to distill the truth and continue to understand yourself. Spiritual alchemy, herbal alchemy, or if you're doing mineral alchemy with the metals and the stones and the minerals. We can come to know the truth of ourself. We know that we're all of the above and all of below. But unfortunately, there are dark forces that would rather have us living in darkness since birth. They pacify us and don't want us to know our truth, and so we live in our shadow. Our eyes are blocked from seeing beyond the veil, living in fear. When the truth is, we are all fallen angels, angels who are fallen asleep. And while we're here in this life school, with this life experience, it's our goal to wake up to that truth. Religion has led us astray from the light, telling us to bow. Religion is what crucified the Christ consciousness. Religion told us to pray to a dead body on the cross out of fear of hell. Notice the fangs, keeping us in a fallen state. So when we understand our dual nature, we can choose to rise and not be in our animalistic state anymore. We can choose not to be destructive animalistic beings who don't respect life, who no longer want to dominate, but want to be one with the forces of nature around us, and no longer suppress the light that resides in our heart. We can choose to grow up from being a child and becoming a man or a woman, and become an adult, and then become a god in the flesh. That is what it means to live in the Christ consciousness. Feeding your mind positivity will alchemize your mind, body, and soul. Feeding your body live energy, positive energy, not low vibrational energy. Feeding your distilling the mercury. When you feed your mind positivity, you are distilling your soul. When you feed your body positivity, you're distilling the mercury. When you exercise, you are rebuilding your body, the earth. And this is how you can alchemize the dual nature of self, by taking the sulfur. Let's see, where do we want to put it? We could put it here. Taking the sulfur, which is the fire that powers your body. So we say fire, sulfur. All right. You distill this over the course of the year, like we talked about in the other video. You're bettering yourself by trying to only feed your mind stuff that's going to enlighten you, going to better you. Don't waste your time on things that are going to have you living in fear, living in darkness, keeping you in darkness, watching reality shows where they're always fighting, or they're in competition for love and in lustful ways. You want to seek the truth, seek the light. The light is the goal. You want to distill the mercury, the vehicle for your life force, the spirit, by feeding, with your diet, feeding yourself healthy stuff, eating more vegetables. Don't just consume fruit because that's still sugar. You want to also consume vegetables. Eating red meat and chicken, if it's not respectfully sourced, if that animal is not happy, you are eating the negative energy of that animal. You are eating the animal's unhappiness, and it's bringing you into a lower vibration, bringing you into your shadow and making you irritable and triggered. That's why meat is so easily available. You go anywhere and you'll see, some type of meat available, is widely available, even the mystery meat at fast food restaurants. If something is so easily available, it should raise red flags to you. The things that are not easily available, the things that are harder to harvest and more expensive, like vegetables, fresh vegetables, that's what your body is yearning for. It keeps you in a higher vibration. It helps you stay balanced when you feed yourself live energy. If you're going to feed yourself meat, you're going to want to make sure that meat is blessed and cleansed. And I wouldn't recommend consuming too much of it if it's not been sourced in a respectful way. Then you want to rebuild your body. Because notice I separated the symbols. In spagyrics, we go through a separation process, meaning first distill your sulfur, distill your mind. Because when you can change your mind and how you perceive the actions that you need to take in order to better yourself, it will be easier for you to keep your New Year's resolutions. When you change your perspective on life and how you see yourself and who you want to be, choosing not to operate in your shadow, this is a separation. And then you can begin the distillation of that element. And then you choose, because you've distilled your sulfur, you're choosing to feed yourself better things. You're choosing to take care of what you put in your body. You're more conscious about what you put in your body. And that's why some people say your body is your temple. For a long time in my life, I did not take that seriously. But I understand that now. And exercise of the earth, because when you, in the spagyrics process, what do? You break this down into a salt. So, exercise. Because when you exercise, especially lifting weights, doing push-ups and sit-ups and stuff like that, when you're building muscle, you're burning calories at rest. And when you build muscle, you're actually breaking your body down, and your muscles is your body regenerating and rebuilding itself stronger. So now, when you recombine yourself and you're ready to recombine, what you're doing is you're taking the earth. Let's do it over here. You recombine all of these elements. You take the earth, because you've got your salt. So I guess we can use alchemical symbol for salt. And you combine the sulfur, and then you combine the mercury, and now you've got yourself a new version of earth, the body, and you've got yourself a scarab again. Now you understand the significance and importance of the scarab in Egyptian culture. We've seen the scarab a number of times already in these lessons. Because you've rebuilt your mind, body, and soul. This is just a simple way of understanding the process of alchemy and how you can help balance yourself in a dual nature. You're going to notice, after you've gone through this process, you'll be able to notice other people operating in their darkness. This isn't the only way. Now, after you've done this, you're going to want to stay balanced. And how do you stay balanced? Meditation, continued evolution, knowing that as long as you live, there are always lessons to learn. And always be open for new lessons to learn. And take every relationship and encounter with anyone and anything and situation as a lesson. If something doesn't go your way and you feel yourself getting upset, alchemize that energy by understanding that everything is happening for you, even the bad situations. So try to think about why this bad situation is happening for you. What lesson is it that your higher self, God, the creator, source, the universe, wants you to learn. These are the teachings that Yeshua al-Messiah, Jesus the Christ man, was teaching his circle of people. This was why he was crucified, because he was telling the truth. He was empowering people. He wasn't telling people to bow down. If Jesus were to come back today, he would not, if you bowed before him, he would tell you to get up. Because God doesn't want followers. God sent you here to become a leader. God sent you here to evolve and remember who you are. That's the game that we're playing. Of who can remember, who can find the light within themselves and become the light in the darkness and guide the others to the source of truth. Love is the key. Love is the key. I hope you enjoyed this lesson on how to alchemize the dual nature of self.